Welcome to another episode of the No Promises Podcast with your hosts, Sean Stepp.
Can you hear my hair growing?
And Jeff Briggs.
Hi, Rick, run away!
Two fiction fanatics talking about games, movies, and comics, and whatever else pops into the conversation. On with the show.
Okay, and welcome to our 5th episode of the No Promises Podcast. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Sean.
And we're going to talk about a couple things today. Some of them are semi-related. We'll just say this episode is anti-hero themed. But first off, I do want to talk about American Gods. I finally got a chance to watch all 8 episodes of Season 1.
Nice.
And they were pretty good. Almost better than I expected.
Yeah, I liked it.
Left me wanting more, because it kind of ends abruptly in the 8th episode.
It does.
But, yeah, I don't want to give anything away on that. But I love the style that Brian Fuller always brings to all of his projects. Big Hannibal fan. Didn't watch Pushing Up Daisies, though.
yeah, I saw a couple episodes of that, but I didn't watch much of it.
And,
yeah, I really liked Hannibal. That was awesome. So.
Yeah, Hannibal's amazing. But, yeah, the main thing that I really liked about American Gods was how they kept mystery throughout the entire series.
Yeah.
Like, the goals of the characters, I don't even think they're yet revealed.
No, it's definitely, they keep it definitely, like, under, what am I trying to say?
They keep it under wraps?
Yeah, like everything under wraps. They don't let you know too much. Just enough to keep you entertained to keep watching it, really.
Right. And the like animation of it, like the parts that are CG, they're like really good, and it's almost like ripped from a comic book.
Right.
I mean, it's based on a comic book, of course, but like it's just visually, the show is awesome, and like the music's really good. Ian McShane's character, like, I knew who his character was before I even watched it, but, like, I can see why people don't know who he is. Like, the clues are, like, minuscule as to his overall identity, whereas everyone else is, like, pretty obvious for the most part. We did watch all of Season 1 of Preacher. We caught up on that before Season 2 just started.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah, I don't know, I thought Preacher was really awesome. I'd never read the comic books.
Right, yeah, me neither.
So I didn't go into it really expecting much, really, because I didn't know. But I know that AMC has been coming out with good shows lately, so might as well watch it. Mm-hmm. And it was really cool. I think the characters are all cool in their own right. They are all definitely individuals, and you get attached to all of them differently.
Yeah.
The vampire guy is pretty badass.
Right.
He's like hilarious and badass.
I feel he's probably my favorite character on the show. I definitely liked the Preacher guy. I can't remember his name at the moment, but like his overall tone of being like, Jesse's his name, Jesse Custer.
Right.
His characterization is awesome because like he's a guy that's basically become a preacher as a promise to his dad.
Right.
But like you could tell he has like no business being one.
Yeah, I mean, at first they kind of make it seem that, they make it seem like he doesn't want to be one.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he wants to out pretty much, and then
that's kind of the drama of the first 2 episodes, right? Is that like he's gonna renounce his job as he's a reverend, I believe. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah. And he wants to renounce that until he gets given this immense power. And like, we're not going to say what Genesis is, but
I love that the vampire hates the name.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, it's the stupidest name ever. Why would you ever name it that?
Why would you name it after a band from the
yeah.
UK?
Yeah, that was funny. He was like, the band? I don't know, me and Cindy were talking about this the other day, the fight scene with the little demon chick and the guys. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, when they're in the motel room.
Yeah, that's the most epic fight scene. If you only watch the show for that fight scene, it was great.
Yeah.
They just, every time, it's basically angels versus a demon.
Angels versus demons.
And every time they die, the body gets left there and they just reappear.
Yeah, they instead of like being reincarnated, they basically get restarted, semi close to where they died.
Yeah.
And they like come back, same clothes, like they know they died, but they just like keep on going.
Yeah, and they don't even know how. They're just like, it just happens.
Yeah.
So like, but they're fighting the angels and the demons, and by the end of it, there's just a pile of bodies, like a huge pile of bodies. And the best part is the preacher stays alive the whole time through all these people dying.
Between the fight between two angels and a demon, the preacher doesn't die.
Yeah, manages to stay alive this whole time, and I thought it was great. And they put some comedy in it. People are getting thrown through walls. They put her head through a wall, and the ways they die are pretty funny. And
you know, it's something that I noticed throughout the series. The vampire guy, whenever there's like a lull in the conversation, he brings up how much he hates Big Lebowski, and like later they're like, "You're the only person on Earth who hates this movie."
Dude, I love when the preacher takes the shot of shit and falls out, and he's just like, "Nah, it's a shite movie."
But like, it's hilarious. It's really funny because this show has a lot of overtones that the Coen brothers like always show in their movies, which is like more or less small town yokels and a lot of colloquialisms and just strange characters that just have like, oh well, like they've always been that way. Like that's the vibe you get from watching it. It's like, oh well, this person's just always been this kooky person. And I get that a lot in Preacher. Like these are small town folk that have lived their lives, and it feels like they've lived their lives. That's one thing that the Coen brothers like are so good at doing. And this vampire guy shits on Big Lebowski every chance he gets. But this almost feels like a Coen brothers show in a way.
Right. Yeah, and I do like how they. I just thought about this yesterday when I was watching it. You know, a lot of people could be confused by the vampire because he isn't a normal vampire, what you would think as a vampire.
Yeah, like the only thing...
He only needs blood to regenerate, basically.
Yeah, blood to regenerate.
He doesn't really crave it. He's actually a drunk. So he doesn't really need it. But I like the fact that they addressed it. When he was laying on the bed and the girl came in, she just asked like 6 questions straight out. He answers them, and now the people know. You know what I mean? They addressed it. It was like, well, there could be a plot hole with this vampire. Let's fill it with these 6 questions.
I think him revealing his weaknesses to her is kind of like a sign of trust.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not here to hurt you, but here's how to kill me, sort of thing. And,
and it's funny because, like, he's basically saying that everything's shite but the sun. He's like, that's about it.
Nothing works to kill him except sunlight.
Yeah.
But I imagine if he was... I mean, I guess the decapitation would probably end him. I don't know. He was pretty messed up after... Yeah, he jumps out of a plane, and, like, everything below the chest is just, like, meat at that point.
Yeah.
It's just broken bones and meat. And he basically eats an entire cow, and then he's back to normal. Yeah. And I also gotta say that character Eugene, Arseface. Yeah. Man, he's hard to look at. Yeah, like my first reaction to seeing him was legitimately like they really put a dude in the show whose whole mouth just looked like an anus.
Yeah.
And, like, I thought it was just for the show. No, this character comes from the comic book. Now, he does not look exactly like an anus in the comic book. He looks pretty messed up, but he looks like a dude that put a shotgun in his mouth to survive. Right. Whereas at the show, I feel like they play on his name more so. But
and I do have to say this. It's a little bit of a spoiler, so if you want to skip ahead just a second, it's pretty fucked up that he shot the chick and himself and didn't kill either of them.
Yeah.
You don't think that's weird? Like, that's just bad luck all together, man.
I think it was God's will, right?
Yeah. I mean, it seems to me that that's what they go with too. Like, if something can't get explained, they're just like, well, it's God's will.
Pretty similar to reality.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
But I was gonna say his about Eugene, like, he's more so like believing in God's will more than anybody else is.
Right.
Because, like, he feels remorse for what he did.
Yeah.
And he wants to suffer for it.
Yeah, he didn't even want to be forgiven.
Yeah.
Like, the preacher basically gave him an option. Well,
so, like, however shitty he's treated throughout the show, he feels that that's
what he deserves, basically. Yeah. And it's not enough still. Like, that's how it seems so far, at least.
And it's kind of weird because, like, he goes to the preacher for understanding, I guess.
Yeah.
But in a weird way, preacher kind of needs, by the end of it, preacher needs him for moralization than he does, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah. No, I think the writing in it and everything's really cool. I
love the music to it. Yeah. Like, the soundtrack for that show is, like, on point with everything they do.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, they got, like, the badass female character, you know what I mean? They got the goofy Irishman, and then they got the preacher, who's, like...
All of them English, playing Texan.
Yeah.
Well, except for the Irish vampire, who's actually English. Yeah.
Nice.
The English guy playing an Irishman. The Tulip... The chick Tulip, she's played by an Irish woman playing a Texan.
Nice. It's pretty crazy that, like, they do that now. Like, the only time you get a good show is when they bring British actors.
AMC loves their British actors for Americans. It's great.
I mean, it's cool.
I think they also place their shows in the South. Well,
because it's an easier accent.
An easier accent to cover.
Yeah.
You can...
Instead of just coming in and being like, hey, I'm from, like, North America, you could be like...
I think the English the English need a little twang on their accent. They don't want to do a flat American accent.
Yeah.
So they always do something... Like, they'll either do Boston or they'll... Or Brooklyn. Brooklyn accent's pretty easy for them. Or they'll do, like, Southern.
Yeah. I mean, with... not to go... any into Walking Dead, but the dude Rick, when he does it, every once in a while you'll hear a slight, okay, maybe a Southern dude wouldn't sound like that.
Yeah, it's a little bit forced at times.
Yeah, like coral
mud.
But everyone knows it. They all make fun of it.
Anytime he's shouting, it feels a little much.
Yeah,
but. Normal talk, fine. And as soon as he's shouting, it feels like he's trying to overemphasize it.
Yeah. I feel like the chick Maggie does it, like, a really good job at hiding it.
Well, that's because
she's done a lot of American
acting. Her actress is kind of a
acting.
special case. She was born in England, raised in America, and then went back to England. So she has kind of both accents.
Right. It's definitely easier to slide into it, I'm sure, if you've lived somewhere.
Yeah.
Slide in. But yeah, I mean, definitely recommend Preacher for anyone that hasn't seen it.
Have you watched any of the second season yet?
I haven't started the second season yet. Okay. We're only, like, 2 weeks into it?
Yeah, the second episode is supposed to air tonight.
Yeah, so I definitely want to catch up.
Okay. So. And we've both been reading recent comic books that we had gotten. Yeah. You've been reading Venom.
Yeah.
How's that going?
It's pretty cool. I started what is considered the new Venom. I guess the Venom symbiote or whatever has left whoever his last person was. I know I'm kind of rusty on Venom. I know it was Eddie Brock for a while, then he left and went on to Flash Gordon.
Recently, I think it went from Flash Thompson to
Thompson,
Eddie Brock.
Yeah,
Not Flash Gordon.
yeah, Flash Gordon.
But I think it went from Flash Thompson to Eddie Brock to... I think it may have skipped back and forth between them for a little bit, and then it went to the new guy who is
Lee Price, I believe.
Price.
I believe his name's Lee Price, and he seems to be like basically he's ex-military, and he
went from Eddie Brock, who's just a buffed out journalist,
right,
to a wheelchair-bound ex-military through Flash Thompson.
Yeah,
and then he was cured. I think he was cured of the symbiote itself was cured of madness before it went to Flash Thompson. So it was basically a sane alien skin thingy going to a normal person, basically getting him back out in the field as Agent Venom.
Yeah.
And now the sane symbiote has gone to Lee Price.
Yeah.
Who is not so good.
Yeah, and actually right now he's basically a gun for hire. Because he's out of the military. Some explosion related. Something happened that an explosion happened and he lost 2 fingers. So I guess that's a pretty good move from an explosion. But he only lost 2 fingers. But right away when Venom binds with him, they start fighting because Venom's like, I haven't had anyone try to restrict me in a really long time. They kind of just roll with me now that I'm good.
Yeah. And
also Venom makes a point where he's like, I've been good for so long, I can't be bound to someone that's into senseless violence like you are. Okay. So like he almost doesn't want to be with him at first. But he sees that he's strong military background, and he's so bound to the military from Flash Thompson.
So he seems like Flash Thompson.
Yeah, he was like, I was bound to an ex-military man, and he's one of the greatest men I've ever known. And he says that to him. Well, it's all in Lee Price's head.
It's all mental conversation.
Yeah, it's all like in Lee Price's head. But they go through a huge battle of it. And actually, at one point, Lee Price literally goes to his house and sits there. And he's like, all right, we need to talk this out. Who runs this shit? And they have a battle back and forth. Like this
like a verbal battle?
Yeah, well, verbal battle that almost
that is mentalized?
Yeah, but it's projected out of his mind, I guess. And the Venom, the symbiote gets up in his face, and he gets in Venom's face, and like he looks pretty badass once they actually bind because it's not the normal Venom. He has like these white stripes down his arms. Okay. And he has like almost looks like lightning bolts coming off the top of his eyes.
Yeah, they always change the way Venom looks whenever he switches bodies. I mean, going from Peter Parker to Eddie Brock to Matt Gargan, who... Matt Gargan's the weirdest looking Venom in my opinion, because he has teeth, but they're short, and they're not like... It's not like just the normal Venom mouth where it's like human teeth orientation with sharp... Right. With all of them just being fangs. Yeah. With his, it's like a crocodile, where they're spaced apart, short, sharp teeth.
That's weird.
And he has, where Venom's eyes are, the white spots, he has yellow eyes inside those that are like human eyes. So like the white eyes just kind of look like an orca, more or less. Nice. And... Yeah, his looked really weird, especially since it had, like, the Venom tarantula logo on the chest, but it was, like, stretched out farther. Right. And then it also had a scorpion tail, because Matt Gargan was Scorpion.
Right.
And he also had a power where he would use, like, a scorpion-like tail and everything.
Nice. But, well, I mean, with the Venom suit, you can do just about anything you want.
More or less, it gives you, like, the freedom to present yourself or have... almost any ability that you would need, or it would amplify your current abilities.
Oh, yeah, but I'm definitely looking forward to reading further into this new series of Venom. It definitely right off the bat was, like I said, with Binding to the Dude, it talks about its old people that it's been linked to, and it wants to work with him, but like they had the battle, and actually right off the bat, Venom binds with him, and he gets in an altercation with people and fucks them up.
Normal street people?
Yeah, basically it's like a drug deal gone bad, basically. and which he was part of. I don't know if it was a drug deal. It's a suitcase.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And it had
so an ordeal with the MacGuffin, basically.
Yeah. And so the suit binds to him. Actually, the suit binds to a homeless dude. It looks like it's just running astray, right?
Okay.
And then it binds to a homeless dude, and the homeless dude can't control it, so he's all like, like all fucked up. And then it binds to him, and then he just fucks these like 6 dudes up. And that's when the Venom's like, well, I haven't been attached to anyone that's done senseless violence in a long time and all this shit. Okay. But the Venom suit actually saves his life at first because it comes in front of him and takes a brunt of like bullets.
Yeah.
So I guess it blocks him. I guess it saw something in him, blocks him, and then binds to him, and he becomes like this big ass Venom monster and fucks him up.
All right, you've been a fan of all right, you've known about Venom for a long time. What are Venom's 2 weaknesses?
It's sound
and heat.
And heat, yeah.
Yeah, this thing can block bullets. You ever felt that that's weird?
Yeah, that's like the exact weakness of it. Yeah. That is weird, considering that the first time for him to get off Peter Parker, it was a bell.
Yeah, it was a giant church bell ring.
And he can stop bullets. That
all
makes
times
sense.
that I've seen him like become detached or weak to it was it was either sound waves hitting him, but like now they've like changed it to like it has to be a certain decibel. But and like fire or extreme heat.
Right.
So it's weird to me for him to block bullets. And I just wanted to put that out there.
That makes sense. But also, a lot of times people are just like, yeah, it's a comic.
Yeah. So. Get away with whatever they need to further the story.
And you were reading Spawn, if I remember.
Yeah, I'm reading an old comic of Spawn. This is the first half of a story arc that I never had access to. I actually had to buy a used copy on Amazon just to read it. But it's basically the end of the Spawn series, and its overall story arc is coming to a close. But this story takes place in Armageddon for Spawn.
Okay.
So like this is end of the world stakes. Yeah, he has end of the world stakes. He even says that in the comic. Because I never had access to the first half, so like. I was started in the second half where shit's already going down, and like he already knows what he needs to do. In the first half, it's starting up, and he's like, yeah, River of Blood. I've seen stuff like this before, and like heaven and hell are like, no, like this is it, and he's like, no, I've stopped you before, I'll stop you again, and then like it's him slowly realizing that okay, something's more at play here, and there's kind of like 2 stories going on at once. There's like stuff going on with Spawn, and then there's stuff going on with his, like his family, Wanda and her daughter, and basically his family that he's not a part of. But like they have 2 twins, Wanda and I can't remember her current husband's name. I'll say it's Richard for right now. But they had 2 twins, and boy and a girl, and they've been acting weird ever since they were born. Spawn doesn't know about it because he's not that involved. He more so he cares about Wanda, his ex-wife, and he cares about her daughter, Cyan. Even though she's not his daughter, he still cares about her a lot because, like, in his mind, he kind of sees her as like a surrogate daughter.
Right.
So these 2 twins have been acting weird their whole lives, and they're only like 2 at this point in the story. And the River of Blood and zombies happen, like the dead begin to rise. The twins are actually responsible for it. The boy is pouring red paint into the fish pond, and somehow that made real life stuff happen. And the girl is drawing pictures of zombies attacking people, and that's happening.
Nice.
Meanwhile, Spawn's having like a creation crisis because he's finding out information on how he was actually created.
Right.
which was initially, like, everyone thought, oh, he was created by not created, he was empowered by the devil after his death to do the devil's work.
Yeah.
And that may not have been the case. There's more to it.
Okay.
Anyone that died the exact second that Al Simmons, who is Spawn, every soul that died the exact second that he did around the entire world, they're all encompassed in Al Simmons' body, well, Spawn's body.
Okay.
So,
That's pretty insane.
it kind of explains why a basic Hellspawn within their world, why he has more power than a Hellspawn should.
Right.
Like, Hellspawn is a low-ranking soldier within their mythology. Like, he's low rank.
Yeah.
But he has the power to overthrow the devil figure in that story and fight angels and all this craziness that a normal human soul would not be able to do. Well, it turns out he has like 1,000 or so souls within him. That's given him extra battery power that he's not supposed to have.
That's
and the whole story arc goes through from there. So like you find out that the twins have some ancient power within them that was recently released to bring the end. Now the twins are actually the reincarnated, lack of a better word, souls of God and the devil. Like, so Satan and God are in the boy and the girl. God's in the boy, devil's in the girl. So like, everything they do is affecting the entire world. And about halfway through the second book, they find out who they are from a escaped archangel who is insane, by the way. Nice. She is literally insane, and that's why she was locked away. She was recently released to stop a war in heaven from other archangels that were, they were called the Forgotten. These were the angels that apparently, I don't know, it's kind of conflicting, because they talk about, like, Satan's fall and everything, or Lucifer's, and I'm not sure if Lucifer is maybe a separate entity from Satan.
Okay.
I haven't read the entirety of Spawn, so I don't know.
Right.
But there's a war in heaven currently, and there's current uprising in hell, so it's very mirrored in that way. And Spawn is basically thrown into the middle of it, as he always is, and he's just getting empowered from those other souls, and he's being led by someone called the Man of Miracles. The Man of Miracles is a very mysterious figure, and no one knows which side he's on or like what his overall plan is. But it turns out Man of Miracles is just a facade, and it's actually like the mother of creation. And she gave birth to God and Satan. It's very like convoluted, but like within the scope of the whole story.
To be like, let's make this epically ridiculous.
But that's how the comic book is that it is like the epic of all epics.
Right.
Because it's the end of the world.
Right.
And they literally kill everyone on Earth throughout this comic.
Okay.
Because the Four Horsemen come up, they are not a bunch of skeletons riding on horses. They're instead just these giant, monstrous creatures that like walk on all fours, and they don't look like any animal you've seen. They're just monstrous things, and they bring what was written in the Bible, like war brings war, pestilence brings sickness, starvation, blah blah blah, and just the whole world is getting destroyed in this epic. And Spawn is then transported to another dimension, where paradise is hidden, like the Garden of Eden and all that, and he has to get the apple from the Tree of Life and ingest that in order to become a god, to take on the two gods of God and Satan.
Nice.
So we get to see Spawn become like something else entirely.
Yeah,
No
something
red
else.
cape anymore. Angel wings.
What?
So, like, it's like,
What the fuck?
I told you, this is the most epic of epic. Like, it's almost like comedic how like epic it is. You're
Right,
like,
that's what I was...
like each page
Yeah.
you're going through, like, how can this get any more grandiose? And it just does. And
Oh, God.
I
All
don't
of a
want to
sudden,
spoil how it
angels
ends.
spawn.
I don't want to spoil how it is because it's a little too much.
Spawn.
Yeah, God of Spawn.
Yep. That's
But yeah,
awesome.
that's what I've been reading. Well, rereading, and
That's cool. Yeah, I'll have to borrow that. That seems a little ridiculous.
it is ridiculous. I just went on for it for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it is so much going on within 2 books. They take about like an hour or so to read,
Right.
just because like you're like looking at the pictures and like trying to digest what the hell you
Yeah.
just read.
Yeah, and Spawn's always been like that because sometimes it can be hard to follow, and also there's so much shit going in on all the pictures,
Yeah.
like all the time. You know what I mean? Like I know a lot of graphic novels are like that, obviously, but
Yeah, you
Spawn-
kind of have to like go from the focal point and like kind of pan out.
Yeah.
That's what they taught me in art class, anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
Spawn is a little bit more ridiculous because it's in a world where just about anything can happen.
yeah,
So like that's what makes it so almost comically ridiculous, like you were saying.
like yeah, it's very hard to believe like how they get any further, but they end up doing it, and it's really cool. If anyone ever wants to see Spawn at his most powerful, I definitely recommend checking out Spawn Armageddon Volume 1 and 2. Even if you haven't read Spawn, that's kind of a good jumping point, but in all honesty, probably watch the movie. That'll fill you in pretty good. The Spawn movie from 1997, which...
Oh yeah, dude, that was my shit when I was a little kid.
I think I'm one of the... We're probably one of the few people that, like, are really into that movie despite its faults.
Yeah, right. I mean, I thought John Leguizamo was a hilarious clown.
Awesome choice
Yeah.
for being the clown.
Yeah, dude, and like him going through and like how gross he was as a
Yeah.
person, and then eating the maggot pizza,
Yeah.
which he actually ate maggots on the pizza.
Yeah, he like opens up the pizza box and he's like, "Oh, disgusting! I hate anchovies." And peels off the anchovy fish. Meanwhile, the pizza slice is covered in maggots.
Yeah,
Just takes a big bite.
Yeah, dude, he was so good for the clown, and I thought it was. I mean, it did have its '90s cheesiness, but
Yeah.
it was the '90s, and that's what we
They
did.
spent too much money on this cape. That's what
Dude,
I'm gonna say.
yeah, and it was ridiculous. He didn't have to do anything. 90% of the time, he was just standing there, and the cape's like.
It's kind of how it is in the comic, though.
Well, yeah,
now
yeah,
now
I
that I
guess it
like
is.
thought about that, I
Yeah.
like went back. I was like, he ain't doing much. It's
Yeah.
just chains and shit ripping everything apart.
Yeah, I just stand here and dangle. But I mean, I thought that one was cool, and then you had the coolness of like the cape coming over the motorcycle and turning it into that like shell motorcycle
Yeah, like
over
it held
him
it
and
up
stuff.
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess in the comic books, yeah, his cape's always been the majority of his power, really.
Yeah.
The cape and chain. The cape and chains, which he, I mean, can easily fuck shit up with anyway.
Well, like the reason it's very interesting that we're both reading Spawn and Venom because they're very similar. Kind of, they were created by the same person, Tom McFarlane.
Right.
But like, Spawn is almost like, oh well, I'm gonna take what I did with Venom and I'm gonna amp him up and put some hell
Yeah.
in it, and it's very similar in that respect. But like Spawn's suit, it's basically like a symbiote itself.
Right.
It's very reactionary
Yeah.
and does stuff for Spawn without him even realizing.
Right. Yeah.
So it's pretty similar in that respect.
Yeah, yep. Like they touch on it in the movie too. That it's a living thing basically,
Yeah.
and like the dude just took a bottle and threw it, and it kind of did its own thing and hit the bottle. You know what I mean? And that's how. I mean, obviously Venom's suit is.
Yeah,
I mean,
same deal.
Yeah.
Just no chains or hellfire.
The only difference is like the Venom talks to a toast, where the suit's just literally
whereas,
on
like,
on Spawn.
Yeah, he
And-
just kind of goes with the flow for the most part as far as like what's happening.
Yeah. And actually, I have a Venom versus Carnage comic book that I'm really
yeah.
looking forward to reading too. And Carnage has always been one of my favorite villains.
that's something we almost forgot to talk about, though. We were going to talk about we got some information about the Venom movie coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and not too much is going on. We know that Tom Hardy is supposed to be playing Eddie Brock. We also know that that it's being directed by the same guy that did Zombieland.
Yep. And I think it's supposed to be rated R, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to make it definitely violent.
They're trying to be balls to the wall with this one.
That's cool. I wouldn't want to see Venom any less. And I hope, they get to a point where...
Who do you think they should cast as Carnage?
Oh, dude. I don't know.
Like, if I could...
Has to be someone that seems crazy.
I would... In my heart, I want Willem Dafoe. But he's already been in the fire.
Right. Yeah. That would be perfect, dude. He would be a great Carnage.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. What's Carnage's the name?
Oh, it's Cletus Cassidy.
Yeah. He would be perfect for that. I mean,
runner-up I heard was Jim Carrey, so maybe Jim Carrey could do that. But
that'd be crazy. I mean, he did a couple of serious roles where he was kind of creepy, so he could probably pull off some insane...
Me and my friend Alex were joking the other day. We were like, oh, it'll be like the number 23 meets the Riddler that he played. Oh my god,
that Riddler was so ridiculous, too.
Yeah. So, that'd be pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
Another thing that we wanted to talk about was they announced a Judge Dredd TV show.
Yeah.
And they haven't really announced too much. They said that they were going to have... it's going to be about 2 cops. But as far as like how much interaction they'll have with Judge Dredd, we don't know.
So yeah, it's going to be about like 2 cops on the beat in the same universe.
Yeah, like I think it's
Judge
just
Dredd.
supposed to
Judge Dredd.
George Dredd. That's his first name that he doesn't know about.
Yeah.
He uses this title.
Hey, I'm George. George Dredd.
But yeah, we haven't seen too much from Dredd besides the movie that he did, which I really liked.
Yeah, I thought it was
the second one.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. But I'm a cheesy '80s movie guy, so I like the Stallone.
You like the Stallone.
and I'm not saying that I like it better. It's just 2 different comic books of Judge Dredd. It's the same character, and it's not that I like Stallone better though. I don't know. It's just I guess it relates more to me because I saw it at more of a stage in my life where I was like, oh, this is glorified.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think both of them are really cool.
Child eyes
I think both of them are cool, but yeah, I think the new one made him seem more badass, where the old one he was kind of more of a person just because they put him through the whole jail thing and everything with Stallone, so it made him more of a person, where this one he's just more of the comic book Dredd. You know what I mean?
He's almost not even a person and more of like a statue of vengeance, more or less.
Yeah.
He's like a golem basically. Like he just does his duty, follows his rules, and then like that's it.
Yeah.
I imagine he goes home and goes to sleep, doesn't even do anything fun.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Sylvester Stallone definitely made him more of like emotional and a person or whatever, and this is more like just emotionless. He's a robot.
Emotional robot. Motionless robot.
Yeah. An emotional robot. I'm so sad today.
Oh, my arm needs repair. We talked about most of the stuff we wanted to talk about today. We're kind of short for time.
Yeah.
We do want to talk about how our podcast will be coming out this Tuesday.
Yep.
Which, if you got to this point, I assume you're already listening to it. We'll be releasing on July 4th. We plan on having weekly Tuesday releases as long as we're able.
Yeah, every Tuesday we'll release as long as we can. We're going to come out with 5 episodes right away. Yep. And then continue on after that.
And we got a Facebook currently. Do you know the Facebook URL?
Yeah, it's just
Facebook.com/
Facebook.com/No Promises Podcast.
It actually says podcast.
Yeah,
It's not just POD.
No,
Okay.
it's podcast.
And we also have Twitter, which is the No Promises Pod. So twitter.com/No Promises Pod. And then the SoundCloud, which you're probably already listening to, which is soundcloud.com/No Promises Pod.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, so that's all we got for you this week. We'll see you next week.
Yep.
And it's Jeff signing off.
Alright guys, take it easy. This is Jeff and Sean.
Adios.
Peace.